It is estimated that almost 3 billion people play or have played video games. For some, this hobby reaches the heights of a true passion. And, of course, much discourse is being shared online on this specific subject. Much reasonable, clear-minded, polite, and constructive discourse. It's all fun and games after all. It used to be, in the old days of before the internet, that professional critics were the ones who published their opinions about a work of art or a piece of media. Everyone was naturally entitled to their own thoughts and feelings about it, but only the professional reviews were printed or broadcasted. Now that everyone voices their opinions to everyone else easily, we've kind of lost what makes some critical reviews more relevant than others. What exactly is the work of a media critic? Through a good knowledge of the subject, their job is to give a review that's as objective as possible, so the audience can make up their own mind about whether or not they would enjoy a specific piece of media. By deconstructing it and analyzing its many components, one can weigh the different aspects of its artistic merits according to their own preferences. I, for example, give little importance to graphical fidelity. So, when someone enjoyed a game for this aspect first and foremost, and they say it's great without much elaboration, it doesn't really hold much weight for me. But I wouldn't know that unless the precise reasons for the other person's enjoyment had been explained. Elaborating and being accurate gives a review meaning and relevance, and we completely lose that when all we look at is a score. Another important aspect of a professional review is that it aims for objectivity as much as possible. A good review is not just an opinion. It is absolutely possible to give a positive review of something you don't like, and vice versa. Personally, there are games I hated when I tried playing them, but I would still recognize their value. I have strongly disliked every Bethesda game I tried, but I still see their qualities and understand their appeal if you're a fan of brown and grey and a general lack of art direction. And other games I had a good time playing, but I wouldn't recommend them to anyone. Again, explaining why would take some time. It's not something that can be reduced to a number. Now, I'd like to stress out that the emotional reaction one might have to a piece of artistic media is always valid, and it's probably the most important factor in commercial success. I'm not one to deny the importance of an emotional response to a game. I mean, 100% of my previous videos have been about that. But that is a very personal thing, and when sharing our appreciation or dislike of a game with others, it shouldn't constitute the core of our reviewing discourse. It might be worth mentioning, especially if we can explain why we feel that way, but that doesn't help others decide if they would also like or dislike the same game. We all benefit from understanding why exactly we like or dislike a work of art, and explaining our point of view at least a little helps other people think, in turn, about their own appreciation of the same work. Maybe it's because the landscape of the internet favors short contents, one sentence, a few seconds, but it's ridiculous to reduce the value and the effect of a work of art to a number, potentially accompanied by a short sentence. What happens when people review games without critical thought as a pure emotional response? We get Metacritic's user review section. A substantial amount of user reviews on Metacritic are either 10 or 0. Everything is either a masterpiece or a worthless piece of crap. If we are curious about someone else's opinion but don't want to spend more than 5 seconds reading it, all that's left is it amazing or is it shit? All nuance disappears, and with it all reason. The TLDR on a review is hardly enough to convey a constructive presentation of a piece of media. Let's take a look at what I think is a great example in showing the inadequacy of emotion-driven user reviews. Warcraft III Reforged was announced in 2018. It was teased as a complete remake of the original immensely popular Warcraft III. One of the announced new features, reworked more cinematographic cutscenes, sparked the interest of many fans. Anyone who follows games from their announcement to their releases knows that a lot can change in the process. A teased feature is never a promise. But when a title this popular is announced to a crowd of very passionate fans, imagination runs wild, and a lot of people start overhyping the project, setting themselves up for the disappointment of reality. When Warcraft III Reforged was eventually released in early 2020, critical reviews were unenthusiastic. Upon reading them, it is clear that even though the game ended up being a disappointment as a remake, it was still the same very good strategy game, with a fresh coat of paint. User reviews, however, tell a different story. The vast majority of them completely ignore the quality of the game itself and how it feels to play it, and instead convey their disappointment in worthless shows of public anger. To be fair, there are a few constructive comments in there, and there's no denying the game has issues. But to find something worth reading, you need to sort through a mountain of garbage reviews. Giving a 0 score to a game is never rational. It is an expression of raw emotion, and while I'll say it again, emotional response matters, it has no place in what should be an actual constructive review. Flooding user reviews of a game with zeros is known as review bombing. The sole purpose of this practice is to bring down the average score, to push it as far down as possible, sometimes by creating multiple accounts in an impressive show of dedication to stupidity. So, what can we change? Everyone can already improve the way they voice their feelings by keeping in mind 3 key concepts. Games are made by people. Like all pieces of media and all works of art, games are created by people. A lot of them. Their work has value. We should think about the individuals who worked on a game before we express our opinion of it. Criticism can and should always be respectful. No amount of good arguments will make a criticism constructive if it's presented in an insulting way. Feelings can be explained. There is value in understanding why something is enjoyable to us or not. Deconstructing a feeling by tracing its origin can lead other people to better understand our point, and it can also help us better understand ourselves. Elaborating over raw emotional reactions is valuable for everyone. There is a variety of opinions, and it's okay. Everyone has different feelings about a single piece of art, and that's honestly one of the best things about the whole thing. It speaks to each of us in a different way. All in all, we benefit from being more open about our own feelings, while at the same time acknowledging those other people have. And all of this can go along more rational, objective arguments. The objective qualities and flows of a work of art do not invalidate how one feels about it, and someone enjoying something we don't, or vice versa, does not constitute a personal attack. All in all, I think the huge community that we are should, as a whole, be more mindful of others and put more thought into the expression of our feelings. If we want to be taken seriously, we need to be more thoughtful.
If everything you're doing is bad, I want you to know this.